This morning at IPBC Asia 2016 here in Shanghai, we heard from Micky Minhas, who's the Chief Patent Counsel at Microsoft, in conversation with Paul Lin on stage about the Microsoft Xiaomi deal that was consummated just earlier this year, I understand.
Yes,
tell us about 1,500 patents being transferred over to Xiaomi as part of a broader deal. Just tell us again what the significance of that was and exactly what sort of technology you did transfer.
Sure. So Xiaomi had made some public statements about needing to build its patent portfolio, and that was served as a kind of an initial catalyst for us to approach them and have a conversation. And as we got deeper into conversations, not just about the patents, we recognized that there were other ways that our companies were complementary to one another in how Microsoft could benefit from some of our applications like Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, and Skype, amongst others, can benefit from being on Xiaomi's platform as an entry point to increase the level of consumption of those products in China. And so those 2 points, those 2 pillars started to cause the framework of a deal between the 2 companies. So, Xiaomi needed to build a portfolio, and so we were able to provide them with a pretty diverse set of patents across a number of different technologies.
But you didn't just license it to them, you sold it to them.
We sold it to them, that's correct. That's correct. So we took 1,500 patents and divested them, we sold it to them. We're able to do that for a couple of different reasons. Well, one, we have over 60,000 patents to begin with. So you have to look at the 1,500 in context of what we have. And we file over 2,000 patents every year. And so, so in other words, our patent estate continues to increase with all the new patents that we're filing. And what that means is over time, we have levels of redundancy in our portfolio. We have areas of strength where we can afford to divest some of those assets without materially affecting our position. And then secondly, there are portions of the portfolio that may have been of interest in technologies that may have been of interest at one time or another at Microsoft, but are no longer of an interest. And so, those gives us opportunities to divest as well.
In general, here in China, you commented how the market has matured in certain ways. To what extent do you see this as an across-the-board maturation? Or are there specific areas that are maturing faster than others?
Well, I mean, the areas I'm familiar with tend to be in the IT space, and so we're certainly seeing a lot of maturation in that space. Where we're first seeing that type of maturation is really in actions in the patent office themselves, in terms of how patents are prosecuted, the quality by which the examinations are occurring, the thoughtfulness that the Chinese Patent Office is giving to its guidelines in terms of what is patentable and what's not what is not patentable. So we're seeing, China start to be on par with the U.S. and Europe in terms of thinking about patentability standards. The next step of that will be the court systems, and I think there's still more time that's needed there. Probably more cases to be seen, more issues to address in remedies such as damages and injunctions and issues such as that. So I think that aspect is a bit of a lagging indicator that once these patents grant in SIPO's new regime and the next stage when they will be litigated, or at least some percentage of them will be litigated, we'll start to see case law development mature more rapidly as well.
And of course those mature markets, Europe, US, you mentioned, aren't unfortunately sitting still either, because there's so much uncertainty still in those markets.
There is.
I mean, between now and IPBC India in late February, or IPBC Southeast Asia in Singapore in early March, do you see any more certainty, for example, following Donald Trump's inauguration, following further views and news on the impending Brexit and the impact on UPC and all of that?
Well, I'll probably take those into 2 parts. One, we're seeing an increased level of maturation every time a new case is decided, particularly in the U.S. around subject matter eligibility. There, where an Alice decision a year and a half ago was seen as perhaps being rather devastating, but where we're seeing follow-on cases really clarify the line in terms of patentability. And as each case comes down, we're seeing more and more areas of subject matter that are now clearly in the patentable camp, where it might have been questionable when Alice first came down. So in some ways, the pendulum is sort of swinging back, and we're getting greater degree of clarity in terms of patentability. With respect to the political side, in terms of Donald Trump, and in terms of in Europe, I just think it's too early to tell. It's too. There's been limited interactions with the IT world and the new administration. I think there are bigger fish to fry right now in terms of establishing cabinet positions and such, and it's just simply too early to tell what sort of effect that'll have.
Yeah, okay. All food for thought and discussion at
Yes.
the next IPBC. Thank you again, Micky Minhas from Microsoft. And don't forget, you can go to the next IPBC conferences. They're happening all around the world, leading up to IPBC Global in Ottawa in mid-June. I'm Mark Laudy here at IPBC Asia in Shanghai. See you next time.